There is a man I want you to think about for a moment. Maybe you knew him personally. Maybe he was your grandfather, or a neighbor down the street, or a craftsman in your town whose workshop always smelled like linseed oil and sawdust. He never went to a woodworking class. He never watched a tutorial. He never bought a tool that came in a plastic blister pack with a QR code on the box. But the furniture he built is still standing today. Solid. Tight. Beautiful. And nobody can quite figure out how he did it. That man carried knowledge that was never written down. Knowledge passed from hand to hand, from master to apprentice, across generations. And somewhere along the way, that chain was broken. The old masters died. The apprentices moved to cities. The workshops were torn down. And the secrets went with them. Today on Wood Uncle, we are going to recover 7 of those secrets. Not all of them can be fully brought back. But the ones we are going to talk about today can still be learned, still be practiced, and still be used to make your work better than anything a modern shortcut could ever produce. Welcome to Wood Uncle. If you are new here, this channel is built for woodworkers who care about doing things the right way. Subscribe now and hit that bell because every week we bring you the kind of knowledge that used to take a lifetime to find. And today, we are reaching back further than usual. Before we get into the list, I want to ask you something. Did you ever watch an old craftsman work and wonder how he made it look so easy? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear about the craftsman who shaped the way you think about wood. Now let us begin. Secret number 1. Hide glue. The adhesive the old masters swore by that modern woodworkers have almost completely abandoned. Walk into any hardware store today, and you will find rows of yellow wood glue. PVA glue. Polyurethane glue. All of them marketed as the strongest, the most reliable, the best. And here is what nobody tells you. The old masters would have used none of them. They used hide glue. Rendered from animal collagen, heated in a pot, brushed on warm, and assembled fast. It sounds primitive. It is anything but. Hide glue has properties that modern glues cannot replicate. First, it is reversible. When you apply gentle heat and moisture, a hide glue joint releases cleanly, allowing repairs that would destroy a PVA glued piece. That is why furniture restorers still use it today. Second, hide glue is harder than the wood it bonds. When it dries, it pulls the joint together with a creep that actually improves the fit over time. Third, and this is the part that most people never consider, hide glue does not creep under long-term load. PVA glue is slightly flexible forever. That means joints bonded with PVA will slowly move under sustained weight. Hide glue does not. It is rigid. Permanent. And the result is furniture that does not rack or loosen over decades of use. The old masters did not use hide glue because it was all they had. They used it because it was the best tool for the job. And in many cases, it still is. Hide glue is still available today. If you have never tried it, you owe it to yourself to experiment. You will understand immediately why it was trusted for thousands of years. Secret number 2. The art of reading wood before you cut it. This is one that cannot be bought, cannot be downloaded, and cannot be learned in a weekend class. The old masters had an ability to look at a plank of wood and see what it wanted to become. They understood grain direction so deeply that they knew exactly where a piece would move, where it would be strong, where it would be weak, and how it would age over the next 50 years. They chose their cuts not just for appearance but for structural logic that most modern woodworkers never think about. Here is a simple example. A chair leg cut with the grain running straight through it along its length is enormously strong. A chair leg cut even slightly across the grain is a chair leg waiting to break. The old masters looked at every plank and asked, where is this wood going to want to move, and how do I work with that movement instead of against it? Modern woodworkers fight wood movement with hardware and fasteners. Old masters accommodated it with wisdom. And their furniture is still standing while modern flat-pack furniture collapses in under a decade. Now I want to be honest with you. Learning to read wood takes years. There is no shortcut. But it starts with slowing down. Looking at the end grain before you make a single cut. Understanding what quarter sawn, flat sawn, and rift sawn mean for the long-term behavior of your piece. The old masters did not rush this step. Neither should you. Are you still with me? Good. Because secret number 3 is the one that most woodworkers argue about the most, and I have a very strong opinion about it. Stay with me. Secret number 3. Sharpening by hand to an edge that modern machines cannot replicate. The old masters spent more time sharpening their tools than most modern woodworkers spend using them. And that is not an exaggeration. A master craftsman of the 19th century would have told you that a dull tool is more dangerous than a sharp one and more destructive than no tool at all. His chisels and plain irons were sharpened on natural waterstones, stropped on leather, and tested on the ball of the thumb. And the edge they achieved was something that most modern grinders and honing guides cannot produce. Here is what makes a hand-sharpened edge different. When you sharpen by hand on a progression of stones, you are refining the edge at the microscopic level in a way that follows the natural geometry of the tool. You are feeling the feedback through your fingertips. You are making micro-adjustments that no machine can replicate. The result is an edge that slices cleanly through wood fiber rather than tearing it. And clean cuts mean less sanding, better joints, and a finished surface that reflects light differently than anything you can achieve with a power tool. Now here is my controversial opinion. I believe the abandonment of proper hand sharpening is the single biggest reason why modern woodworking produces inferior results to what the old masters achieved. Not inferior machinery. Not inferior wood. Inferior edges. A sharp tool in skilled hands will outperform a power tool with a dull edge every single time. If you do not have a sharpening practice, start one today. Your work will never be the same. If this video is speaking to something deep in you, hit that like button right now. And if you are not subscribed yet, do it now. This is exactly the kind of conversation we have every week on Wood Uncle. Secret number 4. Finishing with natural oils, shellac, and wax. Walk through a museum and look at furniture made 300 years ago. The surfaces are alive. They have depth and warmth that seems to glow from within the wood rather than sitting on top of it. Now walk through a modern furniture store and look at the finishes on display. Flat. Plastic. Dead. The difference is not the wood. The difference is what is on top of it. The old masters finished their work with materials that came from nature. Raw linseed oil, boiled and worked into the wood over multiple thin coats, penetrating deep into the fibers and hardening from within. Shellac, dissolved in alcohol and applied in many thin layers with a pad, building a surface so smooth and clear that you can see the wood beneath it as though through glass. Beeswax as a final coat, buffed by hand until it reached a warmth that no spray can product has ever matched. These finishes did not just look better. They aged better. A piece finished with linseed oil and wax 200 years ago is still beautiful today, its surface deepened and enriched by time. A piece finished with modern polyurethane 20 years ago is already yellowing, peeling, and cracking at the edges. The old masters built things to last. Their finishes were part of that commitment. And every one of those finishes is still available today. There is nothing stopping you from using them. Secret number 5. Fitting joints by feel, not by measurement alone. Here is something that will surprise you. The old masters did not trust their rulers as much as they trusted their hands. Not because they were imprecise, but because they understood that true precision in woodworking lives in the fit of a joint, not in the number on a tape measure. Two pieces of wood that measure exactly the same on paper can still produce a joint that is too loose, too tight, or subtly twisted in a way that no measuring tool will ever detect. Only your hands can feel that. Master craftsmen of past centuries would test a mortise and tenon joint by hand long before they ever thought about glue. They were feeling for what they called a piston fit. A joint that slides together with gentle pressure, seats fully without forcing, and holds itself in place without clamping. Getting to that fit required the skill to remove a single shaving from a surface, test again, remove another shaving, test again, until the wood told them it was right. That process cannot be rushed, cannot be measured, and cannot be replaced by any machine. In a world of digital calipers and laser guides, this skill has almost vanished entirely. But it is still learnable. And once you develop it, you will look at measurements differently. They become your starting point, not your destination. The destination is always in your hands. Secret number 6. The lost understanding of wood movement and seasonal change. This secret is the one that causes the most damage when it is ignored. Wood moves. Every woodworker knows that. But the old masters understood exactly how much it moves, in which directions, at which seasons, and how to build around that movement in a way that the piece would never crack, split, or warp no matter how the climate changed around it. They used techniques like breadboard ends with elongated slots that allowed tabletops to expand and contract freely across their width without splitting. They understood that a panel and a frame must float, never be glued, so that seasonal movement passes through the joint rather than breaking the wood. They knew that certain species moved dramatically and others barely at all, and they matched species to applications accordingly. White oak for outdoor work where stability mattered most. Eastern white pine for interior paneling where movement was predictable and acceptable. Here is the thing that makes this secret so painful. Modern woodworkers who ignore wood movement do not see the consequences immediately. The crack appears 2 winters later. The drawer stops fitting 3 years in. The tabletop splits on the 5th Christmas. And by then most people blame the wood. The old masters would have told you it was never the wood's fault. It was always the craftsman's failure to respect what wood does naturally. Build with movement in mind, and your pieces will outlast you. We are almost at the final secret. And this one is the most personal of all 7. Stay right there. Secret number 7. Patience as a tool. I know what some of you are thinking. Patience is not a woodworking secret. But I want to argue that it is the most important one on this entire list. And here is why. The old masters did not rush. Not because they had more time. Not because they were slower workers. But because they understood that every step in woodworking has a right pace, and violating that pace always costs you more time than it saves. They let their wood acclimatize in the workshop for weeks before cutting it. They let their glue joints cure fully before moving on. They let their finishes dry completely between coats before adding the next. They let their eyes rest on a piece for a long time before deciding it was done. Modern woodworking culture has replaced patience with products. Quick dry glue. Fast cure finish. Pre-flattened lumber. Everything designed to skip the waiting. And what we lose in that transaction is not just time. We lose the opportunity for the wood to tell us what it needs. We lose the moment of clarity that comes when you stop working and simply look. We lose the relationship between craftsman and material that the old masters spent their whole lives building. Here is something I genuinely believe and I want you to sit with it. The furniture that lasts 200 years is not made from better wood or better tools. It is made by craftsmen who were willing to take as long as the work required. Not a minute longer. Not a minute less. Just exactly the right amount of time. That is a secret worth more than any technique, any tool, or any finish on this list. There you have it. 7 woodworking secrets that died with the old masters. hide glue and its irreplaceable properties. The art of reading wood before the first cut. Hand sharpening to an edge no machine can match. Natural finishes that age more beautifully than anything modern chemistry has produced. Fitting joints by feel rather than measurement alone. The deep understanding of wood movement and seasonal change. And patience. The secret that every craftsman knows and almost none of us practices enough. Now here is what I want from you. Tell me in the comments which of these 7 secrets you think is the most lost in modern woodworking. And tell me if there is an old master in your life who taught you something that you still carry today. I want to hear those stories. Every single one. If this video moved you, share it with a fellow woodworker who needs to hear it. And if you are not yet part of the Wood Uncle family, subscribe now and hit that bell. Because this is what we do here every single week. We remember what great craftsmanship really looks like. I will see you in the next one. Keep your tools sharp, your patience long, and your standards as high as the old masters set them.